Hello and welcome to another edition of the Hobbitcast. I'm your host, Ben McDonald, and today we're going to have a ketogenic diet fireside chat. Today I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Karen. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Ben. How are you today?
I'm good. I made a keto.
Good for you.
Oh, I
Nice,
did. It's a
nice,
big one.
nice pat on the head.
Karen, today we're going to have our newbie show.
Excellent. Looking
We,
forward to it.
we're going to talk about those lovely ketos.
Yes, we
How
will.
how you get them, what you do with them.
We will keto or keto,
Oh,
whatever you feel like.
oh my goodness. You must be from Canada.
Yep, I'm Karen. Karen from Canada.
Karen from Canada with your ketos.
My ketos and my ketos.
All right. So here was our thought today. We were hoping to make a podcast that for a way that we could just point to and say, hey, this is everything that you need to know about ketogenic diet, this, high fat, low carb diet system to try and give you some orientation about what this diet's all about, kind of what it looks like and how to get started in, one compartmentalized little thing. So Karen and I sat down and talked about what are the most important things you need to know to get started. And then we're going to try and cram it all into about 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you stick around, you're going to learn about what it is, what makes it different from other diets, and then how to prepare and actually get going on this keto stuff.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right. So what is ketogenesis? So what we're talking about here is a basic metabolic function of your body. For most people, especially in the American Western world, you are a sugar burning machine. You eat a carbohydrate based diet, all the breads and grains, heart healthy grains, whole wheat, all those things basically turn into sugar in your body. They turn into something called glucose. It's a kind of sugar. And then your body uses that sugar as its primary energy substrate. So that's what fuels your brain. That's what fuels your muscles. That's what keeps you moving. Yep. Your body has storage for that. And it has the ability to turn things into sugar if it needs to, but those supplies are limited.
Yeah.
What we have is a alternative to being a sugar burning machine. And that is to revert to what we believe is your natural state, which is using fat as fuel rather than using sugar as fuel. We can invoke a metabolic gimmick in your body. It has the ability to convert from being a sugar burner to being a fat burning machine. Now, this is interesting because if you look down at your midsection right now, you may notice that you have some storage. That is not sugar. That is fat. That is because your body preferentially stores energy as fat. Now, imagine if your body was optimized for using fat as fuel. Wouldn't it be convenient for your body to be optimized for burning fat as fuel rather than sugar, seeing as how you were trying to get rid of all that excess fat that you've accumulated by eating Doritos, Cheetos, and macaroni and cheese? So what we're going to do is we're going to use a couple of dietary tricks to put your body into a state of ketosis, which is we are going to make your body convert over from using sugar as its fuel to using ketones, which is otherwise known as using fat as fuel. This is a process that takes a little bit of time. It's about 2 weeks. And for some people, it can be, 3 or 4 at most, but usually it's around 2 weeks. And what that's going to do is make your body be in a receptive state and an optimized state for leveraging dietary and stored fat as fuel. And this is a fantastic thing, mostly because it sets you up to burn fat real easy. Now, there are a couple of interesting side effects that come along with this shift in behavior. Karen, why don't you talk about some of the hormonal benefits of going to fat as fuel?
Oh, sure thing. Well, in the absence of carbohydrates, when you're eating less than those 20 grams of carbohydrates for a couple of weeks, and you start getting into ketosis, you'll find that this ketogenic diet is a natural appetite suppressant. The high fat it's satisfying, but it also stabilizes your blood sugar, which diminishes your hunger. It also reduces the amount of insulin that your body has to produce, which also reduces your hunger. And it aids in the ability for your body to use its own fat as fuel, because that insulin isn't as present in high amounts. Is if you have all that insulin, then you're going to be storing fat instead of burning it.
Mm-hmm. And that, to put a fine point on that, insulin is actually a fat governing hormone. In the presence of insulin, fat can only be stored. It requires the absence of insulin in order for fat to be mobilized. That's why if you're eating all the time and eating snacks all the time, it's very difficult to lose weight, because you constantly have insulin, and therefore it's very difficult for your body to mobilize energy that's stored as fat on your tuchus.
Very true.
All right. So, Karen, you mentioned 20 grams of carbohydrates. What is a carbohydrate?
Carbohydrate is just it's one of our macros. It's a way that we get energy. It's either starch or sugar or fiber. Sometimes it's sugar alcohol, but that's not very common.
So when we're saying carbohydrate, would popcorn be a carbohydrate?
It certainly would. It's very starchy. Popcorn, bananas, potatoes, all those yummy, starchy things.
How about steak?
A steak is not a carbohydrate. A steak would be fat and protein.
Right. So you used another technical term here, and this is the newbie show, so none of that. You said macros. So
macros.
Explain yourself, young lady.
Macros are what you're going to eat, broken down into different categories, and those categories are going to be in grams. So when you
stop, you're being too technical. Back up.
When you begin, the first thing that you should be paying attention to is the amount of carbohydrates that you're ingesting. So all those things like the popcorn and the bread, that's way out. You want to keep those under 20 grams. That is what triggers ketosis.
Mm-hmm.
Without that, ketosis does not happen. You will continue to burn sugar as your preferential supply for energy for your body. So restricting to less than 20 grams is what you need to begin the process. That is key.
Okay, so you're talking about the macronutrients. There's basically 3 of them: carbohydrates, fat, and protein.
And protein. Yeah.
Everybody knows what protein is. That's steak and, some of the things like eggs and seafood and stuff like that. Fat's pretty obvious. That's going to be anything that's greasy, oily, anything like that. And then carbohydrates are the ones that are actually a little more tricky to identify, because carbohydrates are basically everything else. Anything that's sugary, starchy, or fibrous. Mm-hmm. Some of those turn directly into sugar and some of them don't. And we'll get into that a little bit later about the nuance of dietary fiber. But for now, just understand that what we're talking about is moving your diet to be a primarily fat-based diet with a medium amount of protein and very low carbohydrate input.
That's right.
So give me an example of a typical lunch plate for a ketogenic dieter.
For me, it's usually some sort of salad creation. It's summer, so I don't want to be cooking. So what I have is a big old plate of leafy greens. I've got about 3 or 4 cups of my leafy greens.
Okay.
And on top of that, I have about 3 or 4 ounces of cold chicken breast that's always in my fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could have seafood, whatever. Pick your protein.
Yep.
And maybe a little bit of cheese if I feel like it. A
Mm-hmm.
little bit of diced avocado. Now, avocado is high in fiber. So that is something that you can eat that does have some carbohydrates that is perfectly acceptable.
Yes.
And I might have dressing. So a little bit of dressing. I want something that's really oily that doesn't have sugar. I tend to make my own. So it's a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of oil, a little bit of seasoning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's lunch.
So how about for a typical American dinner, what would be the sorts of things that we're talking about here?
For a typical keto American dinner,
Sure.
we're talking a piece of protein. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever you like, chicken, fish. I like fish a lot.
Yep.
So we're looking at something that's usually about 4 to 6 ounces. And aside, I like to have one non-starchy vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, green beans, broccoli,
Mm.
and then I also have the leafy greens as well, with
Okay.
a little drizzle of extra fat on there.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I
So
keep it simple.
I'm hearing things like steak, chicken wings,
Uh-huh.
nice fish. And those are all delicious stuff. So definitely the meat is a centerpiece, but it's not the primary part of this diet.
No, no,
Medium protein,
it
not
isn't.
massive protein.
That's why it's important when I say, you're having your piece of chicken or your piece of fish, when I say it's 4 to 6 ounces. This isn't an all-you-can-eat meat buffet.
Hmm.
it, you want to save those calories for a little bit of extra fat that you can put on those yummy low starch veggies and leafy greens to make them palatable and delicious.
Right. So let's compare what we're talking about to some of the other more popular diets out there.
Sure.
So what we're proposing is something called the ketogenic diet, otherwise known as keto or keto, however you want to say it, depending on if you're from Canada. And then what we also have is a spectrum of low carb, high fat diets.
That's right.
So on our side of the fence, we have keto, which is very, very low carbs,
Yeah.
high
Moderate
fat,
protein.
moderate protein, high fat.
That's right.
That you can take a step towards carbohydrates and go medium carbohydrates,
Mm-hmm.
medium protein, high
Mm-hmm.
fat. And that
Yeah.
would be things like paleo,
Yeah. Paleo, primal,
primal, the no sugar, no grains from Vinnie
South
Tortorich,
Beach, the South Beach diets.
South Beach diet.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yep. Even the Atkins diet actually has a spectrum where during phase one, it is a ketogenic diet, but by the time you get to phase three, it's actually not a ketogenic diet because you've added more carbohydrates for the maintenance mode.
That's right.
So, what differentiates a ketogenic diet from Weight Watchers, for instance?
With the ketogenic diet, you're using fat as your fuel. You're not concentrating so much on the calorie content.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at the nutrient value of the food, not just calorie restriction.
Okay. But
So
I can
there's
have bread.
You can have bread and then you can be hungry an hour later. So
Mm-hmm.
with the keto diet, there is that gimmick of the appetite suppressant. So you can have a satisfying meal that will give you all the energy you need because you're burning your own fat and you're producing these ketones. Or you could do your more traditional SAD diet, SAD diet, standard American diet, also sad because it makes you feel sad, and continue to restrict your calories to the point where you don't feel good because you're hungry, because you're having these sugar surges and crashes. The keto diet is very much about quality whole food as opposed to the other more gimmicky stuff that have lots of commercial packaged food.
When you're grocery shopping as a ketogenic dieter, you're going to go around the outside of the grocery store. You don't
really
go,
are.
You don't go in the middle. Anything that's in a bag or box or can is suspect.
Very true.
So the biggest thing that I want people to hear about what is keto is that we are talking about using a metabolic gimmick to shift your body into a mode where it's using fat as fuel rather than sugar. What's important about that is two things, in my opinion. Number one, that the way that it manipulates your hormones, especially the appetite suppression, despite the face of calorie restriction. Listen, people, you can't lose weight eating unlimited amounts of calories. I know there's some camps out there and some very vocal people with very popular podcasts that might tell you to the contrary. It's just not true.
And you wouldn't want to. That if you are overeating on a keto diet, you're really having to work hard to do that. It's not necessary. If you just eat enough fat, moderate protein, and restrict the carbohydrates, you'll find that you're not hungry.
That's right. Do you know why they don't sell 50 chicken wings in a basket to individuals? It's because you can't eat them. But they sure do sell big bowls of 9 scoops of ice cream.
They sure do.
Because you can eat 9 scoops of ice cream, but you can't eat 50 chicken wings, even though it's about the same volume of food.
Challenge accepted.
Right.
I will eat your chicken wings. People keep posting chicken wings today on our group, and it's killing me.
I know. Poor Karen. So what we are talking about is the ability to have appetite suppression. You will not find yourself pacing in front of the refrigerator being hungry. You will not be hangry, where you're hungry and angry and bitching at all the people around you.
Yeah. People
will not know that you are on a diet because you will be comfortable while you are effectively losing weight. That is the key differentiator between the ketogenic diet and everything else.
Will only be suspect when your pants start to fall off.
That's right. The reason you are here, the reason that you want to get on keto is because of this appetite suppression. Trust me, that is a huge piece of it. Now, the second part of that actually relates specifically to your health. And this is where the keto diet is really important because let's be honest, if you're here, you're probably carrying extra pounds, and maybe some of you are carrying quite a few extra pounds. There are some interesting metabolic problems that come along with that, and most of them are related to diabetes, whether that's pre-diabetes or full-blown type 2 diabetes. You probably have insulin resistance and some form of blood sugar control issues. Those issues damage your body. And when you have high blood sugar, you are working your pancreas, you are flogging your liver, and more importantly, you are damaging all your body. I mean, your toes, your nerves, your fingertips, your eyeballs.
Yeah.
All of these things are damaged by high blood sugars and the clearances that come from those sugars and your pancreas's inability to keep up with it. It is something that is very critical to get under control and to start to heal immediately. So even though it may take you quite a few months and maybe even years to lose all the weight that you want, what it will do is it will immediately control your blood sugar, which puts you in a state of health unlike anything you've ever experienced before. for many people on the ketogenic diet, they're able to reduce or even remove many of their prescription medications because they no longer require them because they're managing their blood sugar through diet rather than medicine. And that is a very powerful thing to do as an intermediate step towards a journey to health. That is a big part of keto, and that is the other reason why a lot of people end up here rather than something like Weight Watchers or the primal paleo kind of diet.
Yeah.
They just can't offer that. When you're eating a sweet potato on paleo, your blood sugars will spike. And if you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, that is unacceptable, and it is damaging to your health.
Yeah, and you'll have to be medicated. There's no way that you would be able to eat that sweet potato and reduce your medication.
That's right. And Karen, you actually did a little sweet potato experiment recently, didn't you?
I did it. Oh goodness, that must have been a couple of months ago. And nope, didn't work. I tried it, and it's my blood sugars. They still weren't ready yet. Now I did have a much better reaction than I did doing the same sort of thing before I had been eating keto for a few months. So there is healing happening, but I'm not quite ready yet. I still am insulin resistant, although I am much less insulin resistant than I was in February and March. But the most important thing is that my prediabetes is gone. Testing my blood sugars now, the doctor wouldn't say that I was pre-diabetic.
Right.
That part has disappeared, so I don't have to worry about that extra blood sugar in the morning racing through my body like tiny little buzzsaws, ruining my nerve endings and tearing up all my little capillaries. I don't. That's not a concern anymore. They're usually, when you're diagnosed with prediabetes, that's the beginning of the end. You eventually will go to taking pills as a type 2 diabetic and then an insulin dependent diabetic, and then you get all these complications. But for me, because the prediabetes is gone, there's no type 2 in my future. It's disappeared.
That's one of the most interesting things about it. And as you get into this lifestyle, you will learn more about how ridiculous it is, the modern medicine's approach to diabetes. And most doctors will tell you that diabetes is a progressive disease, as Karen said. A doctor can tell you what your next 20 years are going to look like just based on your fasted blood sugar. They know exactly what medications you're going to need to be on. They know what the second level of medications are, and they know what kind of health problems you're going to have in 20 or 30 years as a result of your poorly managed blood sugars. It is a predictable and progressive thing that once it starts, it does not get better. What's fascinating is that only by changing the foods that you eat, you have the ability to completely retool your metabolism and your blood sugar control and completely eliminate the disease. You can go from being a type 2 diabetic to someone who is legitimately not a diabetic at all.
Yeah.
Only by changing the food that you eat. So that's a very powerful thing, and it's something not to be underestimated when it comes to your health and wellness, because that's why you're here. We all want to look great in a bathing suit. The more important thing is the health and wellness. We want to be healthy, and healthy means a healthy weight. Healthy means a healthy blood sugar control, and those things can all be done through something as simple as the way that you put food in your mouth.
Yeah, that's something that I think is truly miraculous. It's really the only thing that does that is the ketogenic diet, and that's why Ben and I both get so bat guano passionate about about macros and reversing this diabetes that used to be, just it was a prison sentence.
It is.
Once those dominoes started falling, that was it, but no more.
All right. Well, let's keep it the train rolling down the tracks here. So
all right.
We've talked to everybody who's listening into keto. They obviously want to be a part of this. There's no downsides. It's all awesome, right?
Oh, hell yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. So how do you prepare for this journey?
Well,
There's a few things that you need to do. And Karen, why don't you take the first one?
the first thing you need to do is you get your house in order. And so, when I started this in February, I sat my husband down and I said, "Look it, I'm going to the food bank tomorrow with boxes of all of our stuff.
Yes.
I'm doing the old pantry purge."
Yes.
So I did the pantry purge. The couple weeks before, I served up, the few things that were there that were already open. We finished that all up, and I sat my husband down and said, I won't be buying this anymore. Just so you know, there is no spaghetti and meat sauce in your future. And he cried a little, but so I went into the pantry. I boxed everything up that was unopened, all my pasta, all my cake mixes, just all the carby junk food,
nice.
hamburger helper mixtures and all that stuff, and brought it to the food bank, and they were delighted. And I started preparing recipes. I went shopping. I bought some stuff around the outside of the store. So I got, one of the fun things when you start is that you get to eat lots of eggs and bacon. And who doesn't like eggs and bacon? So I bought my eggs and I bought my bacon, and I bought, because I wasn't having bread, I like my over easy eggs on kale, because I have a kale issue, but I love me some kale. Yeah, so I got all that stuff, and I went through some low carb recipes. I found a few things. I made a few things ahead of time. I had the leafy greens and the meat and the cheese and the high fat dairy and some olive oil and some coconut oil. And I got all that stuff ready, and I started just with basic menus. Your bacon and eggs and your veggies. I made a veggie and cheese omelet. That was my first meal on this ketogenic journey.
So, Karen, I want to back up a second. Why is it so important to purge the pantry? I mean, you're just not going to eat it, right?
Yeah, sure you aren't. I was just talking to a lady who was sleepwalking, and she ate a Twinkie and drank a beer. Nice. So the idea is to not have the Twinkie and the beer in the house. You know what? Have a last hurrah. Have a weekend where you eat the Twinkies and you drink the beer, and just don't buy it again.
There you go.
So I kept some things. I still have some things in the house that my son will have on occasion. I buy him cherries are in season in Canada, so I got him some cherries, stuff like that, but nothing that would be truly bad for him, and nothing that would tempt me. So for me, there are certain things that I just cannot be trusted around. One of them is potato chips. Okay. My son loves potato chips, and he was really sad that there'd be no potato chips, but I just couldn't have them for him. Yeah. And it wasn't the best choice for him anyway. So I get him microwave popcorn, and he has that on occasion instead. And it doesn't tempt me.
Let's be candid here. There's a transition period.
Sure.
And the first couple weeks is as much of a psychological and habitual reprogramming as it is a metabolic one. You are used to eating potato chips. You enjoy the flavor of sugary and starchy and bready things.
Sure. Peanut butter and jelly.
There will be several moments, and they pass, but there are moments where you will feel as if you require a piece of bread, or a Twinkie or a scoop of ice cream or a pasta dinner. If you have those things in the house, you are likely to make a bad choice, causing your journey to be a little delayed.
Yeah.
It's better just to get rid of it, because you're going to feel those urges during the first couple weeks, because your body is going to be reprogrammed to burn fat as fuel. But that is a transitional process. It does not happen overnight. It takes a couple weeks, and it can be a little bumpy when it comes to cravings. And that's where you have to be committed. And sometimes that means physical isolation from some of the things. If potato chips are your thing, you do not want to have potato chips in your house that first couple weeks.
I really couldn't. I'm only so strong.
Well, right. And nobody faults you for that, right? That's not a weakness. That's
No.
knowing what might happen and just making it so that it's very difficult. That,
Yeah.
it's important. I really think that's a big piece of it.
So box up the Chips Ahoy is what we're saying.
That's right.
Give it to the food bank. They will
Mhm.
use it for school lunches. It's going to a good cause. You're doing your community and your hips a favor.
Nice. All right. So the next piece of preparation, your
Yes, sir.
electrolytes. When it when
Oh
it
yeah.
when it comes to electrolytes, the this ketosis is a metabolic gimmick. You are changing your blood chemistry. You're changing the primary fuel that your body runs on, and it has some interesting changes. One of the more interesting things that it does is it changes the way that your kidneys work in conjunction with your blood.
Hmm.
So your blood is going to change just a little bit, and it's basically going to make you pee a little bit more than normal. So unfortunately, that extra urine is going to carry with it electrolytes. These are salt, magnesium, potassium, and chloride. So it's important that you supplement those products, those electrolytes, because you are losing more than normal people. So you need to make sure that you are bringing in extra to backfill those extra losses that are literally going down the drain.
Yep.
So one of the things that we're going to talk about is you need to go ahead and get some magnesium on order. You can go up to Amazon or go to your grocery store. You need to get a thing of magnesium. Do
Hmm.
not buy magnesium oxide. You're going to have to flip the bottle around and look on the back in the fine print where it says magnesium, and it will say magnesium 300 milligrams as magnesium oxide or as magnesium malate or as magnesium citrate.
Oftentimes they are a blend, and most of that is going to be the oxide. So it's not the best choice.
Right. One of the things that's important is if we know that we're losing magnesium and we're going to supplement it to backfill that loss, magnesium oxide, unfortunately, has a very low bioavailability.
Yeah.
So you're going to put it in your mouth and it's going to pass right through your body and go out the back end without getting brought into your blood. So
Yeah.
you will not benefit from that supplemental magnesium. That's why we do not advocate using magnesium oxide. Now, and not for nothing, magnesium oxide is a little laxative-y. So you start taking magnesium oxide every day and there's a surprise that comes along with that.
Yeah, yeah. Same with the citrate too,
The
which I
citrate can
take.
have a little something.
The citrate can do that. I don't have that problem with it, but sometimes when people haven't been having enough of their salt and drinking a little bit of fluid and having enough of their leafy greens, sometimes they can run into a little bit of trouble. Maybe they ate a little bit too much protein.
Mhm.
So sometimes they can switch to the citrate then. But
Sure.
yeah.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go
Mhm.
obtain yourself some table salt. Now, if you're worried about the iodine, which I'm not, but a lot of people will be,
You get the pink stuff.
you can get your pink stuff, or you can just get the kosher salt.
The pickling salt.
Well, you can get pickling salt or just kosher salt, whatever they have. That's a green box from Morton's, or the regular box that says kosher salt.
I'll have whatever's available.
Whatever's available.
I'm not fussy.
And what you're gonna do is you're gonna take about 1.5 teaspoons per day. Just measure it into a little dish in the morning, and then put it on your food. Sprinkle a little bit in a glass of water. You just need to burn through that teaspoon and a half throughout the course of the day.
I'll put about, I don't know, a quarter teaspoon of that just to get it down in a little bit of chicken broth.
Sure.
To get it in.
So there are other sources of salt besides salt. Chicken broth is a great one.
Yeah.
Bacon is a really good one. Bacon is a delightful way to get it.
Bacon is definitely one of those side benefits to keto that we talk about.
That's right. You'll be using bacon for all sorts of things.
Yes.
And not least of which is it is a pretty good source of electrolytes. So
sure.
You've got your salt, you've got your magnesium pills, you got that magnesium malate on order from Amazon. Make sure you've got plenty of bacon too.
You hear that, people? He said we can eat bacon.
That's right. So that's kind of the electrolyte spiel. It's not a big deal, but you need to order that magnesium malate or the magnesium glycinate. It's just difficult to get a hold of. If you just go into Walgreens, they just don't have it on the shelf. I don't know why.
They usually have the blend. So if you don't want to order it from Amazon, I get mine through just the local hippie health food store. They have the ones that are more specific there.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you have like a vitamin shop or a GNC in the US, those are great places to go. And you might pay a little bit more than you would on Amazon, but that way you can get your grubby hands on it. Now, the other reason that it's important to get on these electrolytes is, especially for your folks that are a little bit older and what seems to be more of a woman problem than a man problem, if you do not have enough salt, you will get leg cramps in the middle of the night. You will also get an interesting thing that kind of affects your fatigue. And so it'll kind of give you a weird headache and you'll be tired. And it's because people don't think about this, but your body is a water engine that's powered by electrical signals. Well, how do you think that water becomes conductive? It uses salts. So if you don't have enough salt, then all the nerve endings in your brain are telling your muscles to do stuff, but you don't have enough salt in your tissues to transmit those signals. It doesn't go anywhere. And so you feel tired and your energy doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So people report these, I feel tired. It's day 3. I'm super tired. I get leg cramps in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
The very first thing we say is, what are you doing for salt? What are you doing for magnesium? Because those things power your cells at a very basic metabolic level, and you just have to do it. It's just part of this process. So get your magnesium on order so that it's ready to go when you're ready to flip the switch. Yeah,
you order it through Amazon or here. I do well.ca if there's anybody from Canada listening. And it'll be at your doorstep within 2 days.
Yeah, internationally, iHerb is another one that is pretty good. We have some people in the Middle East that are successfully ordering wacky vitamins through iHerb.
Great.
Okay, so there's another piece of equipment that you're going to need in order to be successful on this. The ketogenic diet is a metabolic gimmick. It is a technical diet. We kind of hinted at these macronutrients, and you're going to be tracking things and staying under 20 carbohydrates and trying to get the right amount of calories and protein and fat. In order to do that successfully, you need some measuring tools.
You do.
You need one of those little teaspoon, tablespoon thingies. But more importantly, you need a digital scale. And
that's right.
These are like $10, $15 on Amazon. And what it is, it's going to be a little, like a little glass plate with a digital display, and it'll have everything you need to measure your food without really even being a lot of trouble. Because all you do is you take this digital scale, you put your plate on it, you hit the 0 button. So now the display says 0. Well, you put your piece of chicken on it and it's going to say 6 ounces. You go, great, I got 6 ounces of chicken. So you write that in your log and you hit the 0 button. And then you dump your green beans on there and it's going to say 6 ounces of green beans. And you're going to say, great, I got 6 ounces of green bean in my log. And then you're going to hit the 0 button. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
If you go ahead and buy the nice digital scale. Otherwise, you're sitting there trying to measure things and figure everything out. But if you just do it all by weight, it's really just that fast. Bip, 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 bip. So the only time that you're having to bust out those measuring stuff is when you're concocting something, you know, like if you're making some sort of weird casserole or you're making a sauce or something. But, you know, if you're just having steak and broccoli, it's just weight. So, you know, steak on a plate, write it down, zero it out, do it again. Nice and easy. Now, Karen, you were telling me, Karen just posted an interesting thing. She's coming along on her journey. So she kind of posted a little before and after picture. Karen, why don't you talk about, as we prepare to undertake a weight loss journey, what did you find beneficial?
Well, for me, when it came to the measuring tools and the food and weighing, especially when it came to the high-fat dairy and the things that are calorie and sometimes carbohydrate dense, like nuts and cheese, my scale was crucial for me. There's no way that you can know that you are under 20 grams of your carbohydrate and getting into ketosis as rapidly as you can without weighing and measuring. So I had my little Starfrit scale, and I had my macros ready to go. So I used those. But when it came to my mental state, I found it very important to be able to look back and see where I was starting from. So the first day I stepped on the scale and I saw that I was over 300 pounds. And I dealt with that.
I dried my tears.
I dried my tears, and I plugged that into the same program that I use to log my food. I use MyFitnessPal. I put that number in there, and cried again. And I didn't take a body picture. I kind of wish I did, because when it came to finding a before picture, because when you're looking at yourself, you know logically you've lost a lot of weight, but if you're only halfway through your journey, sometimes you can't quite fathom what you've accomplished. So I would highly recommend for people to just get a full body shot. Just, take a picture in your tank top and your leggings and get that full body shot. The thing that I did instead was, once I got off the scale and and cried and then put the number in and then cried again, is for me, the measurement around my waist was crucial, because I knew how badly my health was messed up. I was in a bad state, and I knew that my waist circumference, that's a crucial measurement that can, predict pretty easily how long you're going to live.
Sure.
So I didn't want to see the number. I really didn't want to see the number. So I took a piece of ribbon and I tied that around my waist and I cut it off. And then every couple of months, I take another piece of ribbon and just tie it off, and I can see the difference and how far I've come. Because sometimes, your bathroom scale isn't going to cooperate Eventually, you'll start exercising a little bit, and there's going to be some body recomposition where you lose some fat, but you gain some muscle, so the scale isn't moving.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at how far your waist is shrunk is a good way to gauge that you're doing the right stuff. So pictures, just getting on the bathroom scale and being honest with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and taking some measurements. I just do the waist. Other people, if they have less weight to lose, sometimes they like to do their thighs, their hips, their arms. With men, a really good gauge is to measure around your neck. Is the fellas seem to gain a lot of fat around their neck, which makes them snore, makes you lose sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's a good that helped me a lot when I started. That way I had a starting point.
Yeah, I do think that for most people, they're well served by having some telemetry about their body. The weight is one thing, but as Karen alluded to, we really get a lot of questions about I'm stalled, I'm not losing weight the way that I think. But then you just go, well, how do your clothes fit? And I'm like, oh, I've had to go buy a new belt last week.
Yeah.
Well, you're not stalled exactly. Your body is changing. Your
Yeah, our
bone
buddy.
density, your muscle, your water retention, all those things are moving around. Your weight might be staying exactly the same. You might lose 6 inches off your waist without losing a single pound on your scale.
Yeah,
That's
our buddy
actually
Scott has that blog post where
oh my
he's
gosh.
got he's stayed the same weight for like the past couple of years, right?
Yeah.
He's stayed the same for a while. He's not losing any weight, but he's got this belt and it's gone down inches
Yeah, he had to
since he got
punch
to go away.
two
Yeah,
holes in a leather belt, and he hasn't changed his weight at all.
like he hasn't gone down a pound, but he's getting more dense.
Yeah, he really is. He's built like a fire plug now.
He really is.
It's crazy. This is something that's kind of unique to the ketogenic diet too. We're not entirely sure the science of why this works the way that it does. And look, if you're really obese, you're going to lose more weight than this. But once you start getting within about 30, 40 pounds of what you think is ideal, things get a little weird on keto.
Yeah.
I would say at least 30% of the 20,000 people in our group are in a state of I don't lose a lot of weight, but I keep having to change my belt or I'm buying new clothes all the time.
And this is a fantastic thing because that means that you're getting stronger, you're getting healthier, you're losing that your body fat percentage is still going down.
Correct.
While you're getting stronger.
Right. You're gaining lean body mass, which is healthy and beneficial for you.
Exactly.
Yep. There's so many things about it. I mean, I could give you 1,000 reasons why it happens. Just know that it does. And that's why we really encourage you to pick up that cloth tape measure. You know, while you're making your Amazon order, go up and get a Myo tape, cloth tape measure for $5.
Or go to the dollar store and get a ribbon.
There you go. or you can do a ribbon if you're afraid of the numbers. And do that. You'll thank us later for that. Just trust us on the experience of others before you, that this is a piece that you're going to wish you were doing.
Yeah.
All right. I do want to talk about something that's serious, and that is the health clearance.
Yep.
A lot of you are sick. That's why you're here. You have lost your health, and you're seeking to reclaim it, and you're hoping that weight loss is going to do that. Or you're hoping that blood sugar management through a low carbohydrate diet is going to do that. We want to help you. And we believe that this diet is a very healthy diet and it's very compatible with almost all conditions and all medications. However, especially during the transition, a lot of medications need to be adjusted. Hear me real clearly. If you are a diabetic and taking any sort of blood sugar management medication or any sort of blood pressure medication, those two medications will require dosage adjustments from your doctor. Do not cowboy this stuff. You are talking about a fundamental change in your metabolism, and you keep jacking insulin the way that you were before, you're going to go hypoglycemic and pass out in a parking lot. Guaranteed. The same with the high blood pressure stuff. We're talking about pouring salt down your throat, teaspoon at a time, and you're on high blood pressure medication. A lot of wacky stuff starts happening. So you need to work with your doctor to figure that out. You may have some unusual health problems, and you just need to get a clearance with your doctor. Anytime you make a massive change to your body, and make no mistake about it, when you put your body into a fat adapted state, at a cellular level, your entire body is fundamentally changing the DNA that it is using to power your body. You switch from being a sugar burning animal to being a fat burning animal. That is not a minor transition. It takes weeks and months to fully adapt. And I can take a microscope and look at your cells and go, this person is ketogenic and this person is glucogenic. You can see it. It's a physical change. Don't mess around with that if you are sick. Talk to your doctor and make sure that this is going to be okay. And if you're on prescription medication, don't just assume that it's going to work. Just put in a call to your doctor, put in a call to their nurse and go, hey, I'm wanting to do a low carb diet and go on this ketogenic, Atkins stuff or whatever. What changes do I need to make, or, what do I need to do from a dosage perspective, and get some advice. Your situation is unique. We're not experts. Please don't come on Facebook and ask me what I'm supposed to do about your prescription medication, because I'm not a doctor and I don't know anything about your health. And people ask me all the time, and I can't help you because I'm not a doctor and I don't know what's going on with your wacky health problems.
Yeah.
So we know for a fact 100% of people on diabetic medication and 100% of people on blood pressure meds need adjustments. I can tell you that up front. If you're on some other wacky meds, I don't know, you gotta talk to your doc. So do that. If you're an otherwise healthy person who's just obese and pre-diabetic, not on any prescription medication, this is going to be okay for you. There's not going to be a problem. It's these folks that have real serious health problems that we just want to make sure that all the bases are covered, and your medical care team is in the loop on that. It scares me a little bit sometimes because a certain number of people come to the group that are really sick, and we want them to get better, but we also want to make sure that they're doing it in a safe manner. And this is no joke. This is a real deal change in your body, and that requires a little bit of help from your medical care team, and that's not us, unfortunately.
I can do your nails. I just can't help you with your prescription meds.
There you go. All right. So Karen, Keto Power Activate.
Yes, sir.
Dun, dun. Form of a purple piece of bacon.
I thought it was an avocado, but all right.
Yeah. Well, so one has to be water and one has to be an animal, right?
Okay. So bacon and avocado?
I don't know, man.
Both. It's been a long time since I watched cartoons. Man.
I know. All right. So you're ready to start. You've done your pantry purge. You've got your salt shaker and you've got your magnesium and your fancy little digital scale.
You sat your husband down and said, look it.
That's right. Everybody has shed a tear when they jumped on the scale and saw the disaster that is happening. Okay.
All right. Meal plans.
What happens? What do you do on day one? What's the best way to set you up for success?
Eggs and bacon.
Nice. Eggs and bacon.
You know what? When you're starting, I really advocate whole foods.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep it simple. Don't get too crazy with the ketofied fun stuff. You're gonna find a lot of that on our Keto Plus. It's about the food group. It's because it's about the food. There are lots of cool recipes for all kinds of treats. When
Hmm.
you're first doing this, the first 1 to 2 months, that's not the time.
No.
So what I'd like you to do is just to sit down the day before and plan out what you got in the fridge and what you want to make. Make things that you enjoy eating. You want your meals, especially that first month, to be a joyful experience
That's right.
while you're adjusting. So, I like omelets. So I think my first meal there was a little bit of bacon.
Hmm.
And then I made an omelet in the rendered fat from the bacon.
Yeah, you did.
And I stuffed a whole lot of spinach and mushrooms and a little bit of cheese in there.
Okay.
Uh, I weighed my cheese.
Hmm.
And, I had a meal that I found incredibly satisfying. So I'd really like you all to just stick to things that are simple, that are easy to prepare, and that you find just joyfully palatable.
Yeah.
So there's some good sites. Occasionally something will come up where you need to make something special. I like Scott's site, just not the first couple months because it's all stuff with made almond flour and sweeteners. Ruled Me is really good. There's a keto diet app that has lots of really good recipes if you want to make something special like an Indian curry or all kinds of stuff like that. And
Hmm.
you don't need to go out and buy too many cookbooks. There's so many things that are online. Oh, that's what I do. And then I log it into my Fitness Pal.
Yes. So that's an important piece of this. A food diary is a key component to your success, especially at first.
Yep,
Because let's face it, we're talking about macronutrients and you have no idea what we're talking about. And that's okay. You're going to become an expert on this
totally.
because by the time you are finished losing all this weight, you're going to be a nutritional scientist. You're going to know
Mm.
so much about what's in food and the composition of the food because that's what you're doing is you are carefully controlling the intake of those macronutrients into your body. You will know off the top of your head which foods have carbs, which ones don't, which things have sneaky carbs in them that you might not expect. So the only way to learn that is to log everything.
Yeah.
MyFitnessPal is very popular. Lose It is very popular.
Yeah.
You can get these little apps on your phone. There are websites if you'd rather do it on the computer. You can set up your own little recipes. They track all the details for you. And all you have to do is put in 8 ounces green beans.
And it will
Boom.
tell you how many grams of carbs are in there. You'll be able to see what you've eaten at the end of that meal broken down for you into macros. You don't have to
Mhm.
figure it out. It will tell you exactly how many grams of protein, fat, and carbohydrates, and which of those are fiber right there, spelled out in black and white from those, green beans and cheese sauce or whatever you had with it.
Yep. And if you look at our pinned posts, sites like Ruled Me and dietdoctor.com both have fantastic keto friendly food lists. So you sit down with that food list and you come up with your shopping list and of all those foods. And, you like asparagus, you like zucchini, you like green beans, you like broccoli. You buy all those things and then you choose from that and build your meal plans out however you wish. And then you log the quantities so that you know how much of those things you're eating so that you can stay on track. Now, Karen kind of said this, but I want to hit the point a second time, which is this first
Sure.
week, especially, you're going to be going through carbohydrate withdrawal.
Yeah. So
Let me,
eat yummy fatty food.
if you'll pardon the expression, let's not sugarcoat it. It's going to be hard.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
this process of withdrawing from carbohydrates is a physiological and a psychological thing.
it
You got
is.
you have a sweet tooth. We all know what a sweet tooth is. And the reason that you're on this diet is because you have a sweet tooth. So we're gonna you're gonna have to work through that a little bit.
Yeah,
And part of how you're going to do that is by being accountable to yourself and to others. And the most important way that you can be accountable to yourself is to write anything down that goes in your mouth, gets weighed, measured, and put in your diary.
sure.
That's all you got to do. And then you can look at it and then you can objectively assess whether or not you were successful in staying on your plan and make a determination about what you need to do differently tomorrow if a decision was made that was not towards your long-term goals of success.
And I'd like to stress that, those first few weeks when you're logging things down, you're going to realize, oh, I ate 27 grams of carbs. You're going to make mistakes.
Oh, yes.
But that's okay. It is a huge learning process at the
That's
beginning.
right.
You're completely changing how you look at food and how you eat.
There's going to be mistakes. There are sneaky carbs and things that you just can't even imagine right now.
Oh, yeah.
If you take our advice and stay out of the center part of the grocery store, do not buy anything in a bag, a box, or a jar, and you will not be grossly surprised.
Sure.
When you start going out to eat, when you start getting stuff out of boxes, you will go, oh, this seems fine. It should be fine. And then you'll put it into the log and you'll go, what have I done? That just seems to be the way of things. So we're trying to set you up for success by purging the pantry, by telling you to stay on the outside of the grocery store. Those are all things that will help protect you from making mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes.
Sure.
Don't worry about it. It's part of the journey. It's part of the process. As long as you don't have a binge weekend of ice cream and potato chips, there's really nothing you can do to damage your journey.
No.
You might pause your journey for a few hours or maybe even half a day due to a bad choice or a misunderstanding of what you were supposed to do. But you're not ruining. If on day 9 you get a hold of something that's more carby than you thought it was, it's no big deal. So tomorrow do better. That's all. Learn from it, write it down in your diary and make a mental note. Okay, sweet potatoes, not okay. Spaghetti squash seems like that would be okay. Oh, but it has 9 carbs per cup and I had 2 cups and that was my 18 carbs for the day that I just ate for lunch.
Yep.
Bummer. Now I know not to have lots of spaghetti squash, even though it seems like a perfectly reasonable vegetable.
Yeah, it's healthy and delightful, but and if you see that, you plug it in and you've already eaten it. It's a small bump. I hear a lot of people saying, I guess I'm back at square one. Well,
Right.
no, you're not.
No.
Yeah, at worst, you're back at square, 1 or 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It's not square one. So stop thinking it has to be all or nothing. Occasionally, a spaghetti squash happens.
Exactly. So the second part of this accountability is something I think is important. Karen and I are administrators on a Facebook group where we're all ketogenic dieters going through a journey together, trying to support each other.
Yeah.
With any luck, you have people in your physical, real life world that are going to be your accountability partners, be that your spouse, your roommate, your sister, or something like that, you're going to do this journey together with, because it's emotional, it's physical. There's a lot of ups and downs. We all have an unhealthy relationship with food. That's how we got into this mess. So having some accountability to make sure that you make good choices, good decisions, even in the face of intense cravings, there can be some ways that you can set yourself up for success. If you can't find someone to be your accountability buddy in real life, no problem, because that's what we're here for on the Facebook group. There are a lot of folks who are going through this because maybe their spouse is unwilling to participate in it. Maybe they live alone and are disconnected from their family and friends right now. So they're looking for someone who can understand what it's like. Maybe they're isolated, maybe they're obese and, kind of staying at home and keeping a low profile in the social life.
Mm-hmm.
And you need someone who can relate to what it's like to be 325 pounds. Well,
Sure.
those people are on the board and we're here for you. So we can help you find accountability partners, and you can be accountable by being public and explaining what you're up to and talking about your progress, posting pictures, talking about your struggles. That's what the Facebook group can provide that you may not be able to get in any other way. And we want you to know that that is one of the primary functions of the Facebook group.
Yep.
That we can be your confessional when something bad happens. We are your technical advisors when you have technical questions, and we can be your recipe book when you're really wanting a blueberry casserole. We can show you how to make one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was in a position when I started that my family was not on board. I'd done a low carb, high fat diet before with success, so I sort of knew what I was getting into, and I knew that I really liked this way of eating and that it worked well for me. But I live in a small community with a small circle of friends. The ones that I have that are into fitness and nutrition do not believe in a ketogenic diet at all. They don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky enough to stumble onto this Facebook group of like-minded individuals, and I I have my fraternal keto life mate here with me right right now, my Ben. And if I ever get too squirrely, he yells salt or Costco at me, and I feel better. So yeah, that's what we're here for. We're here to help. We're here to guide. If you need comforting, there are lots of people out there that can help you. If you need a stiff kick in the butt, which sometimes we do, and we can do that too.
And one of the things that the founders of the Facebook group, Karen and I, are both Johnny come latelys to this process.
Yep.
They built this group as a place of support and not of judgment.
Yeah.
The name of our group is the Ketogenic Diet Open Discussion Group, and
Yep.
that's because it doesn't matter what kind of keto you're doing. There's 15 or 16 little technical different kinds, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is that you have a fundamental belief that sugar is going to kill you, and fat is a real good fuel. So as long as that's what you believe, then you're welcome on that group. And
you're not going to get yelled at if you're struggling. That's one thing that we feel very strongly about too, is that, you know what, if you messed up, you can talk about how you messed up, and as long as you're willing to get back on the keto horse and put one foot in front of the other, then no one's going to get mad.
That's right. So definitely take advantage of that accountability piece. You're going to find yourself late at night making a bad decision if you don't have some sort of accountability in your life. Build it in now when you don't need it, so that it's there when you do. If you wait to make those connections after the Twinkie, it's too late.
Yeah.
Okay. So one last topic I think we have to cover, and that is keto out of the home.
Yep. Occasionally we do have to leave our houses, and we put on pants and we go outside.
Speak for yourself, lady.
Okay, well, I'll put on a dress, but
all right.
or a kilt or something.
I think a lot of people need to take lunch to work. A lot of people are going to eat out, be that at work or in the evening as a social event, or they're going to be invited to a birthday party for their kids, or they're going out to eat with family, and they're not necessarily going to be in complete control of their own destiny.
Mhm.
What sorts of things do you think are going to equip folks, especially at the beginning, for those work lunches and those going out to eat sessions?
And once again, this is a preparation thing. You want to make sure that if you're the type of person that works outside of the home, that you have proper storage containers, so something that's insulated if you're going to be carrying around meat and cheese and all that kind of stuff. Prepare, know what you're going to make for lunch the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Make it the night before if you're not a morning person. Just throw it all together. If you allow yourself to let your refrigerator run empty and you don't think about what's going to happen tomorrow, then you might be stuck with, nothing but a jar of olives and a container of mayonnaise in the fridge. So just have those things ready. Make the meals super simple. I talked about my chicken breast and salad.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that. That packs up easy. Now, if you are stuck, if you have run down to olives and mayonnaise, you can go to a fast food restaurant. If that's what you're doing for lunch, there is no harm in that. I myself, I've taken my son for his weekly treat to McDonald's, and I grab their Caesar salad sometimes. They have a grilled, yeah, that's for the grilled, not the crispy, because that has flour all over it, but a grilled chicken Caesar salad. And it says gluten-free right on it, because even though it is a Caesar salad, it has the shaved Parmesan and the dressing and the chicken and the bacon and the leafy greens. It's not just sad romaine, it's a whole bunch of different types of greens. The croutons come in a little packet and it's sealed up and you can just throw it out.
That's right. Perfect duck food.
Exactly. So, there's always options. You need to be conscious. If you're going to a restaurant, I know my husband has monthly meetings over lunch. So you just need to look. All the restaurants have their menus online. They usually have nutritional information. If it's not online, you can call them and find out. And you just have to be really specific with them to say that you don't have sugar or starches. Ask for, no sauce if you suspect that they're putting stuff in the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Just get your simple meat and salad. Or a lot of times people do they do the breakfast for dinner menu at restaurants. Usually they have, there's like eggs. You can get eggs and a slab of ham and you're good to go.
Yeah, I think when you're thinking about both lunch and dinner options, your Mexican restaurants, your burger joints, and
Yeah, they're good.
your steak houses, those are really where you're going to find lots of very keto-friendly options. I think where people really have trouble is Asian restaurants.
Yeah, Chinese is pretty much impossible.
Chinese, Vietnamese, it can be bad.
No pho.
Yeah, there are so few choices on the menu that a lot of times it's basically impossible. Those are the Asian restaurants just don't work. There's a lot of Asian dishes you can make at home.
Oh, totally.
That are fantastic. But the problem is it's not in the restaurant world.
No.
So try to avoid those if you can, because it's going to be problematic.
You're really jonesing for some Asian. There are those stir fry places that you can go to, and that way you pick your vegetables and you pick your meat, and you can even throw a little bit of nuts on there, and then just use a little soy sauce and you're good.
Yep. Okay, so we've kind of talked about the ketogenic stuff outside of the home. We've touched on a lot of things here, Karen, but we have not gone into a ton of detail.
No.
So what I want to remind folks is that this was designed to be a kind of a high level overview. We did not answer all of your questions, I'm sure. You probably have deep questions about macros. You have questions about stalls and shopping and dealing with, some of the more mental pieces of discipline. How do you deal with those?
Yeah.
We have this great Hobbitcast series. You're listening to number 7 right now. We've recorded some other ones that answer those questions in great detail. In the first Hobbitcast, we talked about macros and in deep detail of how do you calculate your macros? What do they mean? What do you do with them? Meal and nutrient timing gimmicks that you can do to try and increase and enhance your healing for especially metabolic problems. We talked about insulin resistance in number 2 and all the different little tools that you can use. So all the reasons that you get obese are because of insulin resistance. And there are a lot of really simple ways that go hand in hand with keto to make the healing process get better. So that's the Hobbitcast number 2. We get into the mental piece a lot in number 3, where we talk about the trading discipline for results. It is the title of that. And we wandered all over the place on that one, but it was really more about that, there's a lot of little things that need to be done to be successful on some of this, the minor details. We talk about measuring and food diaries and stuff, but then that, the accountability piece, the mental piece, preparation, all those things, we get into that in deep detail. Hobbitcast number 4 is a really interesting one in that I got a chance to talk with someone who's involved in weight loss surgery. So if you're morbidly obese and you're kind of at this table going, this is my last shot to get this weight off, otherwise I got to go under the knife and get some body modification going, then Hobbitcast number 4 is really good for you. You will dig it. There's more information about the real world of weight loss surgery than you could possibly get from anywhere else.
It's eye-opening.
Spooky. Hobbitcast number 5, we talk about stalls. Karen and I take all of the wisdom that we've accumulated helping folks over the internet here, and we give it to you. We tell you all of our tips and tricks and how to deal with that. There will come a point in your journey where the weight loss stops and you're going to be mad about it, and you're going to come and want to know how to fix that. There's a Hobbitcast that is like sitting with me for 90 minutes and asking me every question you could possibly come up with, and we download all the information. So you want to know what we know about how to break a stall, that's your Hobbitcast.
Yeah.
And then most importantly, and this is the one that I really want to encourage you to listen to, Hobbitcast number 6, the shopping podcast.
Yeah.
We talk about shopping and the keto pantry. In the support of the preparation here, you need macros and you need shopping. Those are the 2 things you have got to get done that are not going to be intuitive for you. So that's the Hobbitcast number 1 and Hobbitcast number 6. So it's going to give you all the detail that you could possibly want. Karen and I do a virtual shopping trip. We go shopping around the grocery store. We talk about the things we're putting in our cart and what we're going to do with them. It's kind of fun. We get a little silly with it. But you will understand exactly what you need to come out of that grocery store with if you listen to that one. So I think with that, Karen, what didn't we talk about that you think a newbie really needs to know about?
I think we really covered the bases. I think, as you said, there's other things that we recorded earlier that go into all of these topics a little deeper. But just basically where to start. If you get on our Facebook group, there is that pinned post, and it'll tell you step by step how to start. And the first thing is it's with the food. You get rid of the old food and prepare for the new food.
Yep. Yeah, I think so too. I think we covered a lot of the basics. And Karen, let's be honest, it's just food. This
Yeah.
isn't rocket science. It's not that complex. That you're not going to need all this crazy stuff, and you don't need to read a book to know not to eat sugar and grains. Like it's.
I already read that book. I read that book like 15 years ago.
See, there you go.
The old Atkins book. So
Exactly. There's a lot of nuance that can enhance your journey and
sure.
sometimes make things a lot smoother.
Yeah.
But everything we talked about today is pretty much all you need to know to really get going down the road a couple of months.
Yeah.
And
You don't need to know everything.
yes.
Just to start. Just start with the food. That's all you need to do. Just start with those less than 20 grams of carbohydrate,
Mhm.
and you can learn as you go. This is not something that you need a PhD in to begin.
And I will go so far as to say, don't go too deep down the rabbit hole while you're getting started.
Nah.
Information overload in the ketogenic world is very easy. And this, what they call this information overload, analysis paralysis, whatever. What do I
Yeah.
do with this? What do I do with that? Don't overthink this.
No, just start with your meat and your low carb veggies.
Throw out all your hamburger helper. Go buy some bacon, steak, and broccoli, and
There you
get
go.
on it. And
Yeah.
then you can sit at night when you want a Twinkie, and you can get up on the Facebook board and start exploring different meal plans and learning about fancy diary options and get
Hmm.
everything going. It's not that complicated. It's not that scary. It doesn't take an incredible math degree or some kind of, nutritional biology professorship
Heck
to
no. If
get
you know
this.
how to fry an egg, you know how to keto.
That's
That's
right.
that's it.
I think a lot of people are spooked by this diet because there's a lot of stuff going on that's spooky. We're talking about fat. Fat
Hmm.
is spooky. Most people have heard for the past 50 years that fat's going to kill you. It's going to give you
Yeah.
a heart attack. They've heard that salt's going to kill you. It's going to give you a heart attack. If bacon's bad for you, it's going to make you fat.
Hmm.
Eh, Most of what you've been taught nutritionally does not apply to someone who's using fat as fuel.
No, it's once you get rid of those carbohydrates and you cease being a sugar burner, once you're utilizing a little bit of dietary fat and a whole lot of body fat as your fuel, that it does turn everything on its head. So you don't need to worry about what would happen if you were adding all that salt and all that fat to your basic bakery good, which is salt and fat and sugar.
Mm-hmm. I hope we've done a relatively good job of answering your newbie questions with this. If you have follow up questions on this, this is where the Facebook boards are here for you.
Yeah.
Jump on the board, post your question, and go. And just qualify. I am a newbie, and I'm interested in getting into keto, and I have this question.
Hmm.
And we can answer as many questions as you want before you get started to get you comfortable with it. I think a lot of people are really worried about the health ramifications of eating a lot of fat. And there's nothing to be worried about. And we can help answer any concerns that you have and point you to resources and doctors who have recorded videos on
Yeah.
this. Atkins has been around for a long time, and there's no epidemic of people keeling over from health
No.
problems from eating Atkins. This is not new stuff. It's been
No.
around since the 1800s. A lot of people eat it. If you're, uh, there are a lot. You can even get like your dog. You can put your dog on a ketogenic diet. I mean, this is not an uncommon part of the mammalian experience. So
No, it isn't.
you can get into that. All right. So let's put a period on this one, Karen, and call it done.
Sounds good to me.
All right. I do want to spend just a second talking about our friend Scott. as you get into the ketogenic world, you're going to find that it's real easy to focus on the things that you can't have rather than the things that you can.
Sure.
Avoid that that impulse to focus on that which is unreachable from a ketogenic state. However,
Unrequited brownies.
that's right. There will come a point, and we really recommend that first month. Don't get messing around with this stuff.
Nah,
Just
there's
keep
no point.
things simple.
Yeah, learn to enjoy your high fat, moderate protein, low carb foods. And then keto-fy everything.
Eventually, there will be a peanut butter cookie.
Sure.
There will be pasta. There will be mug cakes.
Of
there
course.
will be blueberry casserole.
And after about 6 to 8 weeks of, you've perfected the omelet. You can flip that thing, no problem. You're basically a sous chef at this point when it comes to steak and eggs. So after that, you might start to get a little bored with your diet, and that's when these sort of little treats come in. I do something like this usually once a week. Once a week, I'll try something like this, and my son enjoys it. My husband enjoys it, and it keeps things interesting.
There are things like pancakes, pizza, pastas, even different kinds of breads and cakes that you can make using different ingredients than you're used to, but stuff that's not, crazy expensive or exotic. It's all stuff you can find at the grocery store, order it on Amazon. Things like almond flour and oat flour and stuff like that.
Sure.
Our friend Scott Swenson wrote a cookbook and has a website. Now, this is where Scott is a bad businessman.
He is.
All of the recipes are on the website.
They are.
You don't need to buy the book.
But the book's great. Like you've got it right there in your hands in the kitchen, so you can look at it, leaf through it. I am a book person. Books have a smell, and the internet does not have a smell. I don't know. There's something about holding the book in my hands.
See, I'm more practical.
Sensory.
I don't want almond flour in my keyboard.
I usually have my phone, so yeah, the almond flour on the phone has happened.
That's right. You get xanthan gum on your phone, and you will be cussing.
It's happened, yeah.
So she calls me Hobbit.com. All the recipes are there for free. And if you'd like it too, you can get a printed version of those recipes in the cookbook.
Yep.
We dig our friend Scott's research because what he's done is he's been low carb for a long time and he's a tinkerer. So he sits in his little hobbit hole up there in Timbuktu and then the north part of the country. And he just makes things and he goes, I want a peanut butter cookie and I'm going to figure out how. And he'll just make it until it's really good.
Yeah. So, and after it's really good, he'll make it 2 more times to make sure that he's got it right.
That's right. So periodically Scott will swoop down from his hobbit hole and he will drop a blog post and go, hey guys, I figured out how to make peanut butter cookies. And then,
or pasta.
And then we all make peanut butter cookies and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's why we talk about that. We did talk about some medical stuff here. So I'm going to bang out a little medical disclaimer here just to help cover our butts on this. Because let's be honest, we're talking about serious health stuff and you start messing around with people who are on medication and have serious health problems, they can be a little spooky.
Exactly. I'll do your makeup and I'll paint your nails, but don't trust me with your meds.
No. Karen, thanks for accompanying me on this journey for helping paint a picture of what keto is like for newbies.
My pleasure.
All right. With that, I will pound out this disclaimer. Good night, Karen.
Good night.
No one in this podcast is a provider of healthcare, and our discussion is based on things we read on the internet. It's not our intent to render medical advice for your unique situation. Only you and your doctor can make decisions regarding your medical treatment, diagnosis, and especially the impact of prescription medication. Always check with your prescribing doctor on the compatibility of your medication before undertaking any change in nutritional approach or fasting protocol. Many medications are known to be incompatible with longer fasting without adjustment. Be safe and don't trust our word for it.